like I'm not going to ever be too high or too low, right? I'm
Yeah.
just going to kind of go back to the drawing board in terms of what I think they want to do, what I think we need to do, and kind of where I think we're at. A couple things surprised me. I guess I've thought, um, you know, I didn't realize it seemed like Michigan had more than 391 total yards. So
Um,
that because
yeah.
they had the ball for so long. It seemed like in the second half, the 16 play drive,
Yeah, the kind of backbreaker in the fourth
yeah,
quarter.
was
Yeah.
crazy.
That was really their only real drive of the
Sustained
game,
drive,
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they did it when it mattered most. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that was kind of, I guess, it caught me off guard a little bit. Because you're watching it real time, obviously, and you're having conversations. And all I kept thinking was, how many third down conversions in a row is that?
I think they got on that drive. I think they got 4.
So, and I know they finished 4 of 12 on third down,
So it would
which
have been
see,
3 on that drive because they were
see
1 for 8 going in.
and 0 for 6 to start.
Mm-hmm.
So they got in a little bit of a rhythm there, and Ben figured it out for me like real time. It was just they were averaging just a little over 8 yards per third down attempt.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of third and longs.
So Nebraska was winning on first down,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if you go back and I thought most I got to give credit to it's a lot of it has been, but the pregame I think was spot on
Mm.
in terms of what had to go right, what the keys were. Like it was a fascinating because we're really trying to gear that pregame now into um, football, like the breakdown,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
matchup, right? It used to be a lot of other things, but
A little less like storytelling, more like football-y stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we talked about a lot, and I kept saying I think one of my keys with Jess too was Nebraska's going to have plenty of opportunities for some havoc plays.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to take advantage of it. You got to get guys to the ground.
Yeah.
So like that part didn't. I wasn't. I was surprised at the inefficiency in getting guys to the ground, but I'm
Sure.
not. I'm not surprised at kind of how it looked. We talked about kind of the feast or famine. Like some things that I didn't like. The empty without. So there was a really nice back and forth going
Mm-hmm.
between the set when Michigan would bring pressure, and then when they decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just started winning on the pass rush.
Yeah.
So then they could sit and play coverage,
Mm-hmm.
right? They would sit on some of those short routes. So, like the back and forth there is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's just football,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's our guys and your guys. And so it's kind of weird. I enjoy watching that back and forth.
Sure.
Um, I just felt like it was a little of everything. Sometimes I wanted the ball out quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I wanted him to climb the pocket. Sometimes I'm thinking you're just overwhelmed on the edges.
Sure.
And then I don't know which part, because I'm not done. I'm going to go back today. I got to do a deal with Sports Nightly tonight. How many more times I want him to run the ball? Because I think the thing that we're not talking about enough
Mm-hmm.
is Nebraska has ran the ball the third fewest amount of times in the Big Ten so far.
So
The third fewest.
yeah, I know Dylan leads in both attempts and completions at this point
Yeah.
after this game.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things too where you have to. This is where coaching is going to really matter because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's some things you got to really continue to accentuate. There's some things you're going to have to tweak, but I think the one thing that has to change the fastest
Mm-hmm.
is I don't think you can be in the bottom 3 of rushing attempts because that's not who you want it to be. Now, you may have looked up, and I don't know this,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're trying to find solutions here. I don't know if Nebraska's looked up and thought to themselves, man, the strength of our team is blank. Because I think they thought it was going to be up front. I thought it was going to be up front, and it still very well may be.
I think guard center guard. It's still like
It's still very
they
well
played
may be.
well,
I
I
think they're
thought.
going to have to. So one thing I do know they got to do is I think they got to settle in.
Mm-hmm.
However, you're going to let this thing rip, let it rip, and let feelings be what they may.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You've tried the whole experiment thing. And so whatever you settle in, do that.
Yeah.
And I think you have to. I think you have to run the ball more because you're right at about 43%, and there's only two teams lower than you, and that's Purdue
Hmm.
and Maryland. Now, I mean, I don't know do what you will with Maryland. They're 4-0,
Yeah.
and they only run the ball 4 out of 10 times.
First
But
three weren't exactly juggernauts, and I don't know what to do with Wisconsin. But
boy, we were watching that real time. That's something else.
can I ask a question about that though?
You can ask me anything you want.
Because
888-638-4876.
we are available.
888-638-4876. Welcome our listeners in the stream.
So here's my question: is how much of that? Because Coach Rhule brought this up to the opposite a couple times.
And the presser?
Yeah, with the RPOs. He goes, hey, sometimes you have an RPO and you run it a couple times in a row and you go, I would have liked to pass at one of those, but he's making the right read. How many of the passing attempts are an RPO?
I have to count it. I have to count it because sometimes
because that was the first thing I wondered when we are talking about
there's a handful of things I want to go back and do where I want to count actual plus pressures from Michigan because I don't think it was near as many as
especially in the second half. It was bad early.
I thought was going to go in.
Yeah.
And then two, the check with me is where I think running was kind of the thing. Because I did felt like Nebraska could win outside the number. Their wide receivers are pretty good.
They did have some chunk plays early on the ground.
So the conundrum of it is those wideouts are pretty good.
Yeah.
And there were some times where I was thinking, I can't remember when, but I was thinking, take some shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I wanted them to internally. So I can't go back and say,
yeah,
oh man, you should have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know what I was thinking real time. Because they're pretty good out there.
Well, and you saw on one of them, you got the pass interference.
Yeah.
On Hunter. Then when you did take a shot, they didn't take a ton of them.
But you know what was super evident. I don't know how you feel about this.
Okay. I'll say we really haven't talked about the game
at all.
Yeah. We saved it.
So I don't know how you felt about this. I felt like Michigan's physicality on the back end was spectacular.
So like in the secondary?
Man, they brought some serious drama.
And they tackled.
Very well.
They tackled really well.
Very well.
Aggressively, too. It wasn't not just like ankle tackling. Like they hit guys.
Yeah.
They hit some guys. Barney got the brunt end of it a couple times, but good thing he's the toughest guy on the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's relentless. But, so I talked to a lot of, obviously I'm talking to a lot of guys and almost, I wouldn't say 100%, but almost to a man. The question comes up. People don't want to hear it, but unfortunately, it's how players and coaches have to look at it. I always say tactical versus technical. Basically, it's scheme versus execution.
Yep.
And there's always some deal in the middle, right? You have a plan, and then if you execute it, it's supposed to look like this. And tactically, I didn't have a ton of problems. Now we'd need film. I think Nebraska did box a little bit more than spill, which was interesting because when you box and you keep it inside, you're expecting your guys to come in and fit inside the run game as downhill run hitters. Now maybe they wanted to box a lot of Michigan schemes, right? The counter and the little misdirection. So I don't know. I have to ask.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so you can fix that. The other thing is, and Coach Butler talked about this in week 1. He said, this is how we want to be. This is how we're going to try to call the game. We'll have to look and see where we're at with it and then adjust accordingly. Whether it's me, how I call the game, whether it's
the players
who were playing in the game.
Yeah.
So again, you got to be able to eat the meat and spit out the bones. So I don't know I don't think you want to scrap heap, but I do think you have to tweak within the confines of how you want to play. Because even guys, and I know he gives people a hard time sometimes on social media, but he doesn't when he's just talking football, He doesn't bother me at all. I even look at a guy like Brian Wilson, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had an interesting tweet during the game because it was and it wasn't during the game, it might have been after, and it didn't. And I kind of was with it, right? He said we're getting shown what it's like to have developed high level O line, D line, and running backs. The difference, we don't have a lot of NFL caliber guys on the O line, D line, running back room right now. Actually, I like the scheme of Nebraska offensively and defensively today. See, nobody wants to hear that,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I'm kind of vibing with this, right? You got to continue to develop. You have to continue to get better. But I'm not. You do have to adjust some things, but I can see what especially defensively, I can see what they want to do. So, they've got some decisions to make where if you want to gap guys out, do you know what I mean when I say like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go gap to gap downhill
Mm-hmm.
and just no vertical run seams, right? You just
Sure.
can't have immediate vertical run seams.
Mm-hmm.
You have, you have to be pot committed, and so I think that's the way they want to play.
And that's on the second and third level,
Exactly.
especially.
Exactly.
So here's the thing that
like it's not just a D line thing. I just hate.
So
and
that's
I got to get over it
that's what I wanted to get.
because I just don't think people know what they're talking about. So and it's okay, right? I'm not gonna be like, well, it's this. Well, we're to this, and I'm not gonna get in them. I'm not gonna try to fix everybody's thought process. I'm just simply gonna say I think this is what Nebraska's trying to do, and this is why they're doing it.
So when I went back in my second rewatch because I know the narratives about what the lines were, right? So I literally was just watching how often did on the defensive side for Nebraska, how often did they get pushed off the ball? How often did Michigan reset the line of scrimmage versus how often did Nebraska either stay neutral or reset the line of scrimmage themselves? I actually thought the D-line held up pretty well. I did. I personally thought they held up pretty well. Now, they didn't make a ton of plays, which is a different thing, right? Neutral versus positive. And Coach Rhule brought that up on the long scramble, or not the long design quarterback run by Underwood, where he's like, "Hey, the way they cleared it out,
that was
a defensive lineman just has to make a play."
So, and it's 4-on-5.
Yeah. So it's hard.
I broke that. That was so. Listen, Michigan with the late emptying of the backfield with motion.
Yeah. So the linebacker has to clear out.
He widened.
Yeah.
Nebraska wanted to stay +1 outside the hashes.
Mm-hmm.
So their safeties held the hash.
And there's nobody in the middle of the field.
There's nobody in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
So just
a D lineman has to win, otherwise that happens.
You're 5 for 5 plus the quarterback. So, I mean, schematically, now you can man free that deal and keep a safety in the middle of the field and man on the other side without any help over the top.
Yeah.
And keep +1 in the middle of the field. You can tweak that.
Yeah.
But that's a good play call. I mean, we scored on QB trap against Florida, exact same concept. Except we didn't trap it.
Yeah.
They didn't trap it. We trapped it.
Yeah.
I mean, T. Frazier bangs his head on the goalpost, right? That's just like, it's just counting numbers in the box. So when the real dilemma is not so much along the movement up front with the D line, it's how you want to fit on the back end, right? I talked about man versus quarters and zone and having eyes in the backfield. Like that's the thing that, do you want to scrap the way you play or do you just want to get better at what you do? That's what the bye week is for.
The thing that I would have, if we want to talk about technical, like things that tactical things that schematically I maybe would have done a little differently. And this is because I personally right now, I don't have a ton of faith in the guys that they've been playing to fit the run quickly enough. Like I feel like those guys are late a lot, or, like there was a couple plays where it felt like the linebackers were playing peekaboo. And
that kind of, so it's interesting because we have this conversation. I was pulling my hair out. Sometimes you have, especially defensively, when things are happening fast, Sometimes you have to make the play without making the play. And sometimes making the play is occupying a blocker.
Mhm.
Where if you're playing a puller, going around isn't going to be the best bet.
No, you have
Sometimes
to occupy him so your
sometimes
guy can make a play.
sometimes you have to go through
That's the
to
trust,
keep
right?
to keep him from getting to the second
Yeah.
level. And it doesn't look like much, and we're really quick to want to. Oh, it was his. Actually, I mean, stopping the run
Mhm.
is a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And you stop the run with toughness,
Mhm.
not with scheme.
And part of that toughness is taking on a blocker when you're not going to make the tackle.
You got to just be unselfish, and there's no other way. Like half man means half man. I mean, if I'm supposed to split the outer shoulder pads, and I got to split that thing.
Yeah.
If I want to take on the inner half, I got to take on the inner half.
Because that's where the leverage is created, right? So your guy knows the guy behind you knows where to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's an indecisiveness against talented people
Kills you.
will get you cooked.
I mean, that was I think it was on the 75-yard run by Haynes. I
Yeah.
think it was that one. It was either that or the 54-yard run by Marshall, but I think it was the 75-yarder by Haynes. There was a play, and we texted about it a little bit in game, where Shavers, I think, made the wrong decision, but he went fast.
So I have to I talked about that on the news. I have to ask him.
Okay.
Right? Did he want to box that or did he want to spill it?
Mhm.
Because if he wants to spill it,
Yeah.
he's got to come inside.
Yeah. If he's trying to box it, he made the right decision.
If he wanted to box it,
yeah, he did the right
he
thing.
did the right thing.
But either way, right, is he did it fast, so the guys behind him had an opportunity to make the play.
You had a free runner hitter.
Yeah, you had an opportunity to make the play, and that guy didn't get downhill fast enough.
I think it was more the angle.
It seemed like, I don't know if it was angle, I don't know if it was late. He seemed hesitant.
Well, okay, so that's where we have to be careful. Okay, and this is not anybody's fault because I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's boxing or spill. I don't know what. I don't know if Shavers wants to spill that thing. I don't know which shoulder he's supposed to use.
Mhm.
I do know he ducked inside,
Mhm.
took a little sheep, right, and Buford's got to come off of that. I don't know if he wanted him to work back vertical. I didn't know if he wanted him to restrict the hole, but I know you give a really good back a two-way go.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you don't want to do.
So the question
he had it's very similar to what Cincy did in the first series when Deshaun got dead-legged, right?
Yeah.
So schematically, you're talking about literally a gap. A gap. Not a ton.
Yeah.
But a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Not a ton, but a lot. So you give a guy a two-way go downhill on a safety, and it's just really easy to point fingers and say that guy, but you stop that play collectively.
Sure.
So I don't want to absolve or blame because I'm not sure on the box versus spill. So but if you're spilling that, then Buford's got to be really tight off of the outside hip of that backer fitting to restrict that gap. Now, how much space was created by Shavers dipping that far inside?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's for them. That's a coaching point for them to negotiate.
Because what I saw was
what I don't think it had to do. And this is what everybody sees. Well, why did Nebraska stunt to begin with? Well, the
stunt worked.
The stunt worked.
Yeah, the stunt worked.
Like you have because how it's supposed to fit is you open up, you have a clean run through for Shavers. He occupies or takes on, you fit right behind it.
Yeah.
Like that's just defense.
Yeah, everything worked until the fit right behind it.
So like I don't know what to tell you there in terms of do they need to do that? Do they want to do that? You got to ask Coach Butler that. I'm just telling you why the play looked the way that it did. But I don't love the summations, but I'm not trying to pick at all that because I don't expect sometimes when you're coaching, you're like speaking Spanish or Italian or French or German or whatever, and we want it in English. Like it's we're just speaking a different language.
Sure.
And most of the time, the difference between coaching and fandom is what you do with the outcome. Do you scrap it? Are you frustrated? Are you like, oh man, and you start pointing. It's like it's this, it's that. Like in coaching, you're not really afforded that luxury. You have to kind of stay with it. So in the solutions business, you have to go back to the drawing board and see where you went wrong. And I think for them, it's There's plenty of teaching tape. We talked all week about feast or famine.
Mm-hmm.
Talked in the pregame with B Mac
With Michigan's offense, you mean?
Boom or bust.
Yeah.
The 39-yarder by Underwood. Okay, I tip my hat. It's a fantastic scheme.
Yeah.
Right? It's just cat and mouse.
With the quarterback running, they're +1.
Michigan wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Could Nebraska do that differently with playing a little man? They could have done a couple different things. They didn't. They played coverage. Michigan has really good players too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dry erase board, the whole nine. You have the 75-yard run by Haynes.
Haynes, yeah.
Right. So you go what's 145, and you can't do this. I'm telling you how Nebraska look at it.
Mm-hmm.
149 minus 75 is 74.
Mm-hmm.
That means Haynes' other 16 runs went for 74 yards.
Yeah.
Okay. You take the 54-yarder away from Marshall. That means his other 5 carries went for 26 yards. What Nebraska has to figure out defensively is if it's all about limiting explosive plays, do we need to be more conservative with this philosophy, better execution with our players, or some combination of both? Because that's really what it boils down to. I mean, outside of tackling, which is pretty obvious, you're talking about 54 plus 75 plus 39, which is 168 yards
of the 286 that they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that those count, right? I get it.
No, they absolutely count.
Right? But if you're talking about schematically, was there a problem?
That's what they're going to have to address.
And that's kind of what I was trying to say.
I mean, that's where the real coaching's going to come in, right? Are we going to be –
You're like, hey, were those 3 a schematic issue that we need to fix, or do we need to execute what we're doing better?
And I remember – and sometimes you want a real-life example. Sometimes I'm on the headset with a coach. This is a couple years ago. And a team is getting us with a very similar scheme. And Coach Lamangi on the headsets makes a suggestion. And I go, just instinctively, I said, we just got to be better. And he goes, no bleep. Right? So I knew what he was saying in that moment, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he's shorthanded. Do we need to make an adjustment?
Yeah.
Right. This is the 4th time we've got hit on the Poco route.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Because that's the question. If you consistently are not executing the thing you're trying to do you have to try and do something else?
Yeah. So
which I get.
Like that happens real time in coaching all the time.
That's a very Lamangi response.
No, he's great, man. But sometimes that's just how it goes. It's just how it goes down, right? So
we kind of touched on one of the 2 things that if I had to say I would maybe consider as a layman schematically that I maybe would have liked to see differently. It was one, you brought it up with the Underwood, with the clear out and playing coverage instead of leaving a guy middle, right? If I'm Nebraska and I know, hey, the secondary is my strength in terms of coverage, and I don't really think Bryce Underwood can beat me with his arm over the top.
Yeah, that was pretty apparent.
Like, I thought, like, he had a lot of inaccurate balls. They had one.
But is it weird that I still like him?
No, it's fine.
But I told you, like, I thought Michigan was pretty good.
That's fine. But he had, I mean, in terms of if you're Nebraska and you're trying to make, like, hey, what would we want back? What would we do differently, right? He had one completion over 10 yards. He was 1 for 6 for 16 yards.
There are a lot of guys that wanted to sell out and make him throw the ball.
I was one of them.
So I wonder what that would have looked like.
I do too. Because, again, that's where I come back to the 3 runs, because for the most part, it worked. Like, what they did worked for the most part. But my thought is like, okay, and I may not be right here. If I'm right and I go, hey, I feel like they were late on run fits a little bit. I feel, because on the Haynes one is interesting. And
it was, long one?
Yeah. So it was Shavers occupying, whether he was right or wrong, I don't know, but he was fast. And then you had Buford, who I felt like if he had gotten to the hole quicker, it's less of a two-way go because there's more congestion. Is that right or wrong?
It's right in the premise. I had to be very careful.
Okay.
Because, again,
I'm only saying Buford because I was the guy. Like, that was who it was. I don't know.
Coach Queen and I will arm wrestle about this.
Yeah.
Sometimes this happened to us Thursday night or Friday night on a speed sweep that Bellevue West was RPO. And they got outside the box. And he's on the headsets and he's like, hey, if your guys are more right now. The safeties won't be as indecisive.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm like, hey, we're playing this as fast as we can. Let me take a look at it on the iPad. Maybe we just have to be more, stout.
Mhm.
Well, I get on the iPad. We got everybody on the bench, and I'll show you the play
Mhm.
because we cut it up this morning to look at for Central because they like to get on the perimeter, and there's some things that we're going to
Sure.
do differently. We gave a little, so we're into the number 2 receiver, right? And our outside linebacker sees ball inside.
Mhm.
He sees the ball inside. So he gives one of these where he wants to come inside.
Mhm.
Well, they got some speed.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time we get done playing peekaboo in here, it's out the back gate and they've stretched us. Now, what did his safety have to do? His safety had to banana from
Go around it.
inside out
Yeah.
as opposed to just getting
Sure.
a downhill natural fit.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be very careful about
Sure.
the indictment of who's who because
Yeah.
I don't know enough about
What were they
if
supposed
they
to be
won
doing?
the boxers in the box. I'm telling you, the
Yeah.
boxer spill thing for inside the hashes totally matters.
Changes all your angles.
Changes your angles.
Changes all your angles, right? So you can look slow when you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and it's a trust thing.
So here's why I brought it up. Not to indict Buford. The reason I brought it up is this is out over my skis a little bit, so you have to tell me if this is nuts or not, right? My thought was, if I think guys are a little slow into the run fits, why not just do some run blitzes into those fits so they're never slow?
Like right now, like some of those mug looks.
Yeah.
You could have.
Like that's personally,
no, you could have.
As I'm watching that live, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, you could have.
Because I'll be like, hey, I will take my chances in coverage with Bryce Underwood and his arm.
I'm sure there's a couple that I know there's a couple of.
So that was one thing schematically that I would have liked to see maybe a little different.
So where in your this is going to be the fascinating thing over the bye week is like so everybody has to have accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much of that is do you want to just say, hey man, we got to be better, and then have your coordinator, your head coach say no bleep, right?
Yeah,
so it's
right.
like that's the
and at some point do you have to understand, hey, we're not capable of executing the thing I want them to.
That's where they're going to be at,
right?
And and again,
I know DR didn't want it, but it is good to have a bye week right now to figure that out.
Yeah,
so, I think.
And there's some maturation and growing, in that one too, right? Where you go on offense and you're like, all right, they're in those wide nines. They got smaller and lighter.
Step up. I mean, when they start out that wide, you have to know where your path is, right? It's not leaking out the back.
I understand.
Like that's the thing that drove like a little bit, and that's an execution thing. That's not a scheme thing. But if you're Dylan, and I thought, listen, I know some people weren't. Dylan played really, really well. I thought, like, if you gave me those numbers every day of the week, I will absolutely take 30 for 41, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I will take that every day and twice on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
And if he plays like that every week, he will be playing on Sundays. Like there's no question there. So I thought he played really, really well. The thing that frustrated me a little bit is I can see you've got really wide set out ends that are pretty clearly going to rush. I need him to know immediately that my gap isn't going to be out the back door. It's going to be forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like it's just easy math.
And that doesn't absolve the tackles.
When you go empty and you are speed rushing with 4, you have 7
in coverage
for 5.
Yeah. That's not great.
It's not like so.
Which means, again, you're probably going to have some gaps to give yourself a little life.
Yeah. Or, I mean, you can not get an empty too, right? Because the one time they did try the chip, that didn't go well either. So, I mean, yeah.
The thing I thought that and maybe I'm wrong here, it felt like they motioned into empty a lot. I thought they were doing that to give Dylan a cheat code, whether they were man or zone.
Yeah, me too.
So, like, I understand why they were doing it.
Yeah. I would have.
But couldn't you do the same thing opposite?
And
like
bring him back?
Yeah. And they did a couple times.
Yeah.
Where they brought, which I thought it would have been. Again, this is why I thought it might be a Mosey game. I thought it would have been more effective to have.
Well, they started right.
They did
the
some
back in the backfield, the orbit motion. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, okay, I might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they did it. They did a handful,
and
of
then kind of got away from.
Yeah. The other thing that I would have liked to see, and I think this is more schematic than execution, and this is on the offensive side. I really only had the one issue on the defensive side. I would have liked to see them be like, hey, we're stopping the run. Good luck, Bryce Underwood. If you beat us with your arm, you win. Congratulations. Offensively, it seemed like, and they only did it a handful of times, it seemed like when they got the pocket on the move a little bit, Dylan actually played, like he threw the ball really well. And I would have, with the issues they were having on some of those situations, if you can shift the line and give him hit the out automatically, since he was sort of struggling to see where his outs were with pressure, I would have maybe liked to see them roll pocket a little bit more.
Yeah. Because there's a lot.
It seemed like they were highly successful when they did
There's lots of things they can do differently now.
Yeah.
That's what the tape is for.
But
and that's what the bye week is for.
But schematically, those were the only two things that I was like, I would have maybe liked to see that a little bit more. Now, that does take you out of RPO for the most part, which I don't think they wanted to do. I think and late, we saw the RPO work pretty well. It was mostly P, not a lot of R, but it did seem like that option kept Michigan in their place long enough that the quick game started to work again.
Yeah.
Instead of having the 7 in coverage. So I do understand roll in the pocket probably takes that away from you to a certain degree. So which is more important, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Shane, did we lose Cactus Jack? Was that Golden Voice?
That was the Golden Voice.
Sorry, we talked too long.
We talked too long.
That's our bad. Jack, if you're listening, call back, but we'll get to you here.
Tired. I'd rather have a sister working at a house of ill repute than have a brother that goes to the University of Texas.
Ill repute.
That's an incredible line, by the way.